Hi, and today we're talking with Mike Applebaum, runner and coach, and was my coach for two Chicago marathons. Um, so, Mike, let's start with how did you start running? How did you get into it?
Okay, so it started a long time ago. When my oldest was entering high school, we went to a pre-high school meeting for parents only. And the principal got up and recommended that we got our kids involved in an activity or sport, a club or something, which will make his 4 years in high school much better. He ran for a little bit in junior high, and we came home and asked him, kind of told him, that he would be joining the cross country team. And he said, okay, that's all I'm doing. On a side note, he ran for 4 years and holds a couple records for the high school.
Oh, wow.
So as a little freshman, we had to drop him off at 6 in the morning for training, and he would be done at 7. So with about an hour to kill, we would go over to Sunset Park and run around there. And it was about a mile loop. We had no idea what we were doing at the time. People would come up to us and give us advice on our clothes, our shoes, the way we were running, everything. So we continued that and we started running on our own. And probably about a year and a half later, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. So we had to get that under control. And we went on a Thanksgiving downtown to a meeting for team and training. And it was Thanksgiving weekend, about 2 months after I had just gotten a biopsy of my neck that confirmed what I had. And I wasn't ready at that time. So we let about 6 months go by, and my mother-in-law got very sick. And she had breast cancer and melanoma of the cervix.
Wow.
The week she died, leading up to that, my wife thought she was having heart problems. So I said, let's go to the emergency room. Her heart was fine, but the radiologist found a cyst on her pancreas. That led to 2 surgeries over about a year and a half, 2 years, that removed her spleen and 2/3 of her pancreas.
Wow.
So somewhere about a year after that, Stacy went to another team and training meeting in March of 2007. Came back home and said, I just signed us up for the half marathon. I said, okay, here we go. So we joined, and at that time, you didn't have to decide on the half or the whole till about June. Or even later, maybe even August, you didn't have to commit. So the coach at the time said, why don't you decide how the training goes? If it's going well enough, run the full. Stacy looked at me like I was nuts. And of course, me being me, said, let's go for the full. So that started our running in 2007 with the Chicago Marathon that was shut down due to the heat and lack of supplies. And we haven't stopped since then.
So, how many marathons have you done?
Somewhere over 30.
Wow. And you've done them in different parts of the country, right?
Oh yeah, we used to do running vacations. You know, we would go to a spot, she would do the half, I would do the full. It was fun, and in prior years, we used to go with a whole group of people. We did that with the Disney World weekend. We did it with the Flying Pig. I think we did it with Disneyland. St. Louis, we did it with. The Indy Mini, we might have done it with. So it was fun. A group of us, 5 to 10 of us, would all go, hang out at the hotel, run, and hang out afterwards. It was a nice camaraderie and friendship.
Yeah. So what was the moment when you realized, I'm a runner?
I'm not sure I realized that yet, to be quite honest with you. You know, I look at guys that are going a lot faster than I ever will. I said,
Mhm.
that's a runner. Me, I'm just out doing time. And then, and honestly, to sidestep your question a little bit,
Mhm.
as you get older, there's not many things you could do outside for enjoyment. You know, you end up taking the garbage out, cutting the lawn, fixing the house. And I was a pretty active kid, playing sports all day outside. And running gave me an opportunity to be outside for fun again and enjoyment.
Mhm.
The 6 miles I run now every other day are the best hour I spend on that day. I'm outside, just enjoying it.
Mhm. And when you run on your own, are you listening to music, or is it more of kind of a quiet contemplative sort of thing for you, or?
No, it's music. If I didn't have music, I'd go nuts. That first step I take, I would say, okay, I'm done. I can't do anymore.
uh, and what kind of music do you listen to? Is it more of like, upbeat motivational kind of stuff, or?
Stacy has a playlist. I'm
Okay.
not allowed to touch it, so I get to listen to that.
Nice.
Some of it I skip over. I'll have to be honest with
Mhm. Um, so for several years now, I'm not even sure how long you've been a coach. Certainly the last at least 5 or 6 years, right?
you. Yeah,
Um,
I would say 7 to 10, somewhere in that
okay.
area.
And how did you get into coaching?
Well, I've been running ever since '07 with team. We were raising funds every year for races. And the head coach asked me if I'd be interested in coaching. So I said, sure, what needs to be done? He goes, well, you'll start as an assistant coach and help us out, and then you'll progress. And the rest is history.
Well, I must say that you were, when I was running the marathon on your team, um, you were always the coach who magically appeared whenever I needed somebody. So when I was out on the Waterfall Glen trails and about to die because it was 1,000,000 degrees and I was all by myself and thought, I'm just going to pass out in the ditch over here, I turned the corner and there you were with salt pills. And that was the whole season.
You didn't know I had the ability to multiply myself when needed, did you?
I wouldn't be surprised. Um, so, when thinking of being a coach, or, even just talking to someone who's new to running, um, everybody has a bad day. And I think when you're new, it's really easy to let that discourage you. What do you say to somebody who needs that kick to stay motivated and get over a bad run?
First of all, everybody's going to have bad runs. That's just the way it is. You just don't know when it's going to be. I remind them of when they started, that they couldn't believe how far they've come. You know, when you start, you're doing 30 minutes, maybe a mile, if you're lucky. By June, you're already doing 10 miles and you're shocked. And I tell them how amazed I am when I go out every day and I said, I just did 6 miles or I just did 10 miles.
Mhm.
And I remind them of the cause of why they're doing it and the people who are struggling with cancers, and that what you're doing is easy compared to what they have to go through. And to keep them in mind
Mhm.
when they're out there running. So
Yeah.
far, it's worked.
Yeah. Well, it worked for me. Um, if you could run anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Probably Israel. You
Have
know,
you run right?
yeah, they have a marathon there. I don't think I'll ever do it, but maybe Israel. Boston would be a close second.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Boston comes right around April 15th,
Yeah. Oh.
usually right before it. And my work, that's the busiest day of the year for me.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this year was lining up to be perfect because it was going to be April 20th. But lo and behold, it was canceled this year.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I enjoy the travel trips.
Mm-hmm.
You really get to know a city when you run their miles.
Yep.
So I'm pretty much interested wherever I can go. It's fun.
Nice. Um, so how has the pandemic and the lockdown orders, how has it changed your routine, or has it?
Oh, it's changed drastically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I work from home now, basically. I'm actually in my office today. I'll stop by my office now, maybe for an hour, pick up mail and see what's going on. I'm working 100%, well, let's say 90% from home. Um, you know, we don't go to shows, we don't go out to eat. I'm not sure I'll ever go to a theater again. And I'm okay with that. I'm not in a rush to go back to restaurants. You know, we used to go to Hawaii every December. I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore. The airplane travel, I'm not sure any of that will happen until the vaccine is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from people, which for me, that's a good thing. You wear a mask wherever you can, gloves. You know, we do a lot more online shopping. I will say
Yeah.
that much. It's unbelievable. You know, we'll go to maybe Costco once a week, grocery stores, very little, any other stores, nothing. So you know, we hang out in our backyard,
Mm-hmm.
in the house, watching every streaming service available to mankind.
Did you know, we're not, obviously we don't have any races, but assuming we get back to normal and get back to having races on the calendar, which would you most look forward to?
Well, first there'd have to be a vaccine
Mm-hmm.
for me to get out there.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to be running with 45,000 sweating people, drinking
Right.
water and pouring it all over the place without a vaccine. The one I'd be looking forward to would be my next one.
Whatever that may be.
Correct.
Um, do you have any favorite? Let's talk a little bit about, you know, equipment and things. Um, Shoes. Do you have a favorite? Do you change them up? Do you stick with one brand?
Well, when I first started, I tried every brand and every type under the sun. I tried support. I tried cushion, pronation, no pronation. You know, I read a book back in 2010 about the Nike Freeze and how all these people run with no shoes. And I've been running in Nike Freeze since 2010.
Hmm.
They give me the most feel I like. I don't feel like I'm 6 feet above the ground. I don't feel like I'm fighting the shoe. It's not right for everybody, but it works for me.
Mm-hmm. And what advice do you give new runners about, you know, how they should go about deciding what shoe they're going to wear?
They should go to a small store, a small
Mm-hmm.
running store, get fitted properly, make sure they have a good return policy. Because the first shoes you run with are probably not the last shoes you run. And may not be your favorite at the end of the day. Really get fitted properly. Make sure they feel right. Don't worry about style or color or brand.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they're the correct shoe for you.
And how about you know, fuel or hydration? You know, what do you take with you on runs?
Well, for a 6 mile run, I just take a small bottle of water.
Mm-hmm.
That's plenty for me. Longer runs, I'll take Gatorade and water. I'll do goos.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I really do. For each person, they have to find what works for them
Right.
with all the different assortment that are out there. And like if we were training, the training is when the time you experiment with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that come race day, you got what you want and you know when to take it.
Nothing new on race day.
You got it.
I will never forget that.
That's like rule number 2 or 3.
Yes, absolutely. Nothing new on race day.
Correct.
What keeps you motivated, you know, to keep running? Is it just the fun of doing it? Is it taking care of your health, or what is it for you that keeps you out on the road?
One is the enjoyment of being outside for something that I don't have to be outside. And second, my dad died young, died at 57 of a heart attack. I always thought the heart was going to do me in, and running was a good way to strengthen that and my cardiovascular system. And that's probably my primary motivation.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I think that's everything that I wanted to ask you. Is there anything else that you want to say about running, life in general? Any advice you'd give somebody who's thinking about trying running?
Running has been great for me. I've been running since '07, and it's just been tremendous. I loved it. I've loved all the people I've met in team and training, either as teammates, as a coach. I'd love to see the experience in the faces of people from day one through the marathon. Day one, you want me to run what? And then it's from the marathon, I just ran a marathon. When's the next one? It's a great joy to see people accomplish something that they didn't think they'd be able to accomplish.
Uh-huh.
And it's unfortunately that it just isn't happening right now for various reasons, primarily the pandemic. I just really enjoyed that part, meeting people, all the new people I've met throughout the time, helping them get through it, all the funds that was raised to hopefully cure cancer. It's just been a great overall experience for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's, a common theme that I hear from people who run, especially people who have been involved with team and training, is that it's so much about the connections that you make with other people, regardless of whether you're fast or slow or run, walk, or what. It really seems to be something that connects people.
Yep. It's all about the pace.
Mm-hmm.
Little plug there.
Nice. Yes, and I've really enjoyed your videos.
The first one actually started from Nisha
Uh-huh.
requesting something for her original video
Okay.
that we put together. But she said she couldn't figure out how to do it. And this last one I've been playing with for a while that I wanted to do at a team in training pasta dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But that never happened, so we put it together as a video.
Nice. Awesome.
Who
Anything?
knows what's next?
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Coming, because anything that makes us smile at this point is wonderful.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. It's been wonderful. I miss you guys, so it's
We
been
miss you.
talking to you, and I hope at some point we can all get together in person again. But thanks so much.
You're welcome.